Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Steve Hall.
Good morning.
Steve Empty Hall, as we call him in the business.
Steve Hall incarnate.
Yes, and you can text the show on 81215. That's 81215. Or you can follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email us through the Absolute website if you're a traditionalist.
We've already had a tweet from Tupac.
Tupac?
Yeah.
Good to have him back.
Yeah, he's doing okay.
He did do a gig, didn't he, not that long ago, as a hologram?
Hologram, yeah.
Oh, I don't like those.
No.
Tupac said, Steve Hall again.
Be a good thing to put in Room 101. Dead rapper holograms. Clips might be a bit tricky, but carry on.
Steve Hall said, Tupac says, Steve Hall again, he's becoming like the proverbial lampshade, a fixture.
Yes.
Splendid. Well, the cockerel is nearly back from holiday.
Well, the cockerel, he...
Where is that
He went
cockerel?
on two-week holidays, back to back.
It's like Sarah Ferguson in the 90s.
Yeah, you know, when someone has to, they realise they haven't used up their holidays at work, and they have to have them all in one go. I don't know if it works, though.
Yeah, but he likes to get a lot of bang for his buck.
Look, here's a postcard. I think it's a rude joke in French, so I'm not going to read out the
Did you get a postcard from Cockerel?
It's to all of us. It says, Dear radio cohorts, having a lovely French holiday.
Oh.
Here is a postcard which I believe is an example of saucy French humour. Much love, the cockerel.
Oh.
And it's got a picture of a dog, or two dogs, dressed as a man and a lady. A lassie dog, as we used to call them, as a lady. And then a boxer dog in a beret.
Oh, sounds
And I won't,
gross.
as I say, I won't read out the French in case it's something about...
Well, I'm going to read it. Please pass it to me for later. I'll be able to translate. Thank you.
Okay. So that's,
Well, that's
it. So
nice. That's nice to hear from the cockerel.
Yeah, he's alive. Don't think for a second that he isn't alive. If you think we were hushing it up like when Tito went, it's not true. Tito, by the way, was our Italian former sidekick who died in the Pampas Bull Run, or whatever it's called, I think.
No, he didn't.
Anyway.
Frank, what about the Beckett Festival?
Oh, yes, I went...
I mean, that's quite an opener on Absolute Radio.
It is. There isn't enough Beckett on commercial radio. I've seen it. Oh, yes, I went to the Samuel Beckett Festival. In case you're not familiar with his work, he's an Irish playwright. He did Waiting for Godot.
He
You
did.
might have heard of that. And he's, well, I like it. It's quite hard work.
He's avant-garde.
He's a bit avant-garde. But, it was good. It was good that Absolute had a representative there. Scott Mills was doing crap last time. No, he wasn't, really. So I went out there, and I had two jobs. I had to read a Samuel Beckett short story at his former school.
That's intimidating.
At 10:30 in the morning. When I got there's three plaques on the outside. There's Samuel Beckett, Oscar Wilde, and
Who's the third? Jiminy Cricket.
Henry Francis Light.
I think it's Henry Kelly.
Henry Francis Light wrote Abide With Me,
Oh, yeah.
They always play
Right.
the cup final. Henry Francis Light. There was a Henry Francis who was a much fatter man, but this was the diet version who actually wrote the song. But yeah, he wrote Abide With Me, so that's a pretty good call. But so I read that out. Lovely.
At his former school.
At his former school.
You'd feel his old teachers, the ghosts of his old teachers, kind of looking down on you.
I didn't think that. No, that's a bit Derek Acora thing to say. I didn't even think that for a second. But it's in Enniskillen is where we went.
Oh yes, I know Enniskillen. Yeah.
Yes.
And I thought, well, it's quite a big town, Enniskillen, but it's got that, in Ireland, big towns feel like villages, do you know what I mean? As we were driving in, we were still about 30 miles from Enniskillen, the driver said, there's Paddy Gillen, the greengrocer, up front. And he said, I don't recognise his car. And I thought that wouldn't happen in London, would it?
No.
So I liked all that, and it was...
Is that not where they had the summit?
Yeah, I stayed at the hotel where the GA...
Wow.
It's like a golf.
Yeah.
There was a Nick Faldo suite.
There wasn't.
There was.
Oh, you see, I don't think
Pringle upholstery.
Well,
I don't think that's appropriate for the Beckett convention.
No, I know, but it's
a bit cigar smoke. It's a bit more tarby.
My management obviously insisted I didn't stay at the normal. I told everyone else I had to get a much posher
Did you
place.
swim in the lake? Because that's where Putin swam in the lake.
Is it?
That Putin and Obama's exercise regimes weren't allowed to clash.
I went on the Putin green. If that counts. First joke out the way, I think we can all relax.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I was at the Beckett Festival, as I was saying, and in the hotel. They were telling me everyone wants to talk about the G8 when the G8 was there. Oh. And they said that they had an X-ray machine X-raying potatoes and tomatoes on the way in.
Did they?
Amongst other things, in case anyone put anything dangerous inside.
Oh.
Concealed in a spud.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You could, though, couldn't you? You could put a bomb in a potato. Let's try it. No, that's not.
Well, was it not Enniskillen where, certainly when it was the G8 summit, they had to put loads of fake shop fronts because so many businesses have closed?
Well, they're still there.
I believe they're called Potemkin, and you should know that.
Is that right? They completely fooled me because there's like a vibrant cafe the other side of the road, and it's just a poster on a window. But I totally fell for it. It looks better than your average high street. I don't know why people don't do it when shops close. Maybe when people die, put big alive people stuck on them.
It's the one industry that's booming. It's the fake shop front.
I always think if I was, when people used to have these, you read about these businessmen who's got into a business at the right time and made a lot of money. I'm thinking currently the place to put money is tattoo removal.
Do you think
Because
so,
in about
Frank?
10 years' time, they're going to be queuing up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Once the stretch marks have took the edge off those flowers.
Just waiting for the Cheryl Cole bubble to burst.
You should go into Dragon's Den with that. Imagine Frank and Dragon's Den. Oh, I'd love it.
Well, the Cheryl Cole, I don't know if you saw that, the fabulous rose buttock.
Yes, I quite liked it.
Massive rose thing. I remember thinking, and my first thought was, I imagined that Cheryl Cole would wear nicer pants than that. They were really off the market. 8 pairs for a £5 kind of pants.
There's a nice thing.
Bit scratchy.
I think it's fairly unpleasantly that area is often referred to as the tramp stamp.
Yes,
but in German, the word they use for that, it translates literally as bum antlers.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's so much nicer.
A bit harder for sitting down.
Yeah.
So I was at the hotel. Can I tell you one thing I particularly liked about the hotel is I thought that they'd put out cigars for me in the room. There was a very, very ornate box.
Oh.
And it looked, it was leather, but it was like inlaid leather. And I thought, smashing. Chocolates, maybe, cigars.
Lovely.
I opened it, it was the TV remote box. That must have been for the G8, hadn't it? Because Barack Obama doesn't want
like those.
He doesn't want a naked remote. He wants it in a presentation.
They often say it's the most infected bit of a hotel room because the cleaners don't often clean.
I've stayed in some of the hotels I've stayed in.
Yes.
The cleaners don't dust the remote control. No, so the one thing you should really look out for is your remote in a hotel room.
Well, how do you cope with that? And just take gloves, take remote gloves.
That's why I've got a special pair of remote gloves.
That's another company you can set up.
That's it, remote rubber gloves that you take. Remote rubber gloves sounds a bit weird.
RRG Limited.
No, that's well, I had a friend who worked in a hotel, and she said that they used to wipe round the inside of the kettle with the towels when they dried the kettle out. So that with the towels out, that had been left. Oh. So you're drinking the previous person's spores. I don't mind a bit of previous guest spore. But anyway, I'll tell you what I like about hotels, though. They're so sort of pompous. If you stay in even slightly nice hotel, you get hotel TV. So one of the channels is a little video about the hotel.
I love the video.
I'm going to collect them, I think, into one big DVD.
I like the music for it as well, Frank.
Yeah, and also the idea that a close-up of a glass of red wine on the table means sophistication. So anyway, what I always do if I stay at a hotel, which I never do at home, is I mix cereals. So
do you?
I have, I get my cereal bowl.
Can I ask a question, Frank? Do you get room service? You'll strike me as more man of the people.
No, I get
Buffet
out
downs.
to
I knew you would,
I
Frank.
like to see who's staying there.
People watching, yeah.
I like to do that. And also I like to hear the hubbub of people saying that's Frank Skinner. That's one of the great highlights of my life. But, so I'll have a bit of muesli and Cocoa Pops. And,
all together?
Yeah, all in the same bowl.
Curious bedfellows.
It's brilliant. And I had to top it off with a cornflake. Well, not a cornflake, several.
A cereal cocktail.
But the man next to me there was some discussion about this. He had 6 sugars in his tea.
No.
Now, that is an all-time record for me. My mum used to put 2 sugars in everyone's tea that came to the house.
Yeah.
And she'd ask them then, she said, if you don't have sugar, don't stir it. That was her method. You had to put them in. But I'd like, if there's any of our readers who have more than 6, I'd like to hear from them why they've still got the teeth to speak.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Now, Frank, we've had a very strong response to your question about sugars in tea.
See, I sort of feared that people don't really have sugar in tea anymore. But is that...
Au
is
contraire,
that true?
my friend.
Absolutely, there's a... Well, because first of all, you raised it because you'd seen a gentleman putting 6 sugars in his tea.
But it caused quite a stir in the breakfast room.
Lovely
Quite a
material.
At the, I got told off for calling it hotel, at the resort I was staying at, the golf resort.
Very it sounds very Tarby, the resort.
Yeah, but there was, like, his wife was saying, oh, you haven't seen how many sugars he has yet, to the waitress, she was setting it up for spectator thinking.
Well, Jim Mullen says, he tweeted us, when I worked in Tooting Market, I worked there too, a man I knew cut down from 8 to 7 sugars. What is the point?
That's the day he thought, I'm over it. That's like when I went from Sherry for breakfast and then went to Pernod for breakfast and thought, this is getting out of hand. Having with Sherry, I thought, that's fine. It's nutritional.
Amanda has texted to say, morning, Frank, in answer to your question, interestingly, tooth decay is caused by frequency of sugar, not quantity. So it makes no difference if you have 1 or 6 spoons of sugar in your tea, as far as your teeth are concerned.
Really? Well, that's opened up a whole new...
The sugar floodgates are open. I
went to hospital once with a sort of A&E type of thing, and I was actually given, like in Emmerdale, when there's a plane crashes or something, I was actually given some hot, sweet tea.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't think that really happened. In the age of, this is the 21st century, you go to a major London hospital, they give you hot, sweet tea.
I was thinking, I ordinarily regard sugar in tea that's strictly for hangovers. That's the only
time. Does it work for hangovers? There'll be a lot of people listening to this who would really like an answer to that.
I find that's the one time. Hangovers and shock.
Well, Rob says I offered a homeless guy a coffee from a public coffee house. He wanted 8 sugars. I couldn't hide my shock. He said he'd have 9 or 10 sugars in a famous fast food chain coffee because they're stronger.
But that's a man who doesn't often get the chance for sugar, and he's basically filling his boots, isn't he?
Yeah.
The homeless man on New Street Station once said to me, "Can I have a bite of your burger?"
Did he? What did you say?
That's a tricky situation. I was quite
pleased
with my response. I paused for a moment, probably with a slight shadow of horror across my face, and then I broke him a bit off and gave it to him. Worked a treat.
Like the loaves and fishes.
Yeah. And that man is now a hairy biker. If you help people, lower down the ladder, up they come.
Gavin York says, my brother uses sugar instead of salt on all of his savoury meals, but thinks that making a cup of tea sweeter is ridiculous.
Oh, good use of the word ridiculous. I often do think, though, that we don't mix and match the sweet and savoury enough.
You think so?
When Matt Smith first generates...
Oh, there we go.
Oh, and he wants the custard and the fish fingers.
Yeah, fish fingers and custard.
Why was that?
I think fish fingers and custard. I've never tried it, but I was thinking when they have the 50th anniversary special, I might watch it with fish fingers and custard. I reckon it might work.
It doesn't say. It sounds quite nice. I like the textures.
I tried tomatoes and custard on a TV show once at a suggestion of, I think, Victoria Corrin, and we both thought it would be horrible. It was actually rather fine. So I'm going to encourage our readers to broaden out a bit and mix the savoury and the sweet. What do you think about that?
Go for it.
Looks like the rough and the
new
smooth.
Recipes.
Light and dark.
Frank, Paul has asked, could you tell Frank that Nick Faldo designed the golf course that he stayed at?
Oh, well, I knew that.
Oh, okay. All right.
I knew that. I don't see why she get a sweet. But no, I didn't know that. Don't get me wrong, it's a lovely golf course. There's flags and holes and sandy bits. Everything you could want for it. A fun 18 holes.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast podcast from Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've had correspondence from a boffin. This is Phil in Essex.
I like our boffin texts.
So do
because
I.
I don't know much about science, so I find it highly informative.
Do you know much about history?
I know a little bit about biology.
Well, this is Boffin 583. He says, I was under the
I
impression...
think all boffins should be numbered. Just called boffin 178 and stuff.
Boffin 583, I was under the impression that hot tea can only hold a finite amount of sugar in suspension. After about 3 spoons, the solution... Oh, great use of solution, 583.
Yes.
The solution is saturated, and any more simply sits at the bottom.
Is that right?
That would
He's
make
not
sense.
stirring enough.
That would make sense, because
Something no one's ever said to me.
Adam White has tweeted to say, I can't remember exactly how many, but I remember my grandpa's teaspoon standing up by itself, which may prove our boffin's
His
theory.
grandfather was
Right,
Uri Geller, to be fair. That can't... Well, but that sort of suggests it does sit on the bottom, doesn't it?
as a sort of spoon anchor.
I think Boffin 141, whatever his number
583.
was, 583, is suggesting that it'll stop dissolving.
Exactly.
I don't know. I was hoping he was going to refer to the passage of a solution into a less soluble solution through a semi-permeable membrane.
Oh, I love it when you say that.
It's one of the few things I remember from school. That and
Paul Farrell.
that thing with Mr. Ellis that time. Maybe not for here. Carry on.
Paul Farrell says the opposite of sweet is sour, not savoury. Put that
I
in your
know
pipe
what you
and
mean.
smoke
I know
it.
what you mean, Fazza. I'm sure they called you at school. But I think that is probably true vocabulary-wise. But I think in food,
Yeah.
in foodstuffs, I think the general separation is between sweet and savoury.
I think you might
Because
be right, Skinner.
sour is such a small group. What have you got?
You've got Haribo's.
Gooseberries.
Tangfastics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a tiny little subsection.
Lemons.
Whereas savoury, you know, you've got,
You got
cheese straws.
To be fair, you got... you got Marmite.
Yeah, you got Marmite.
Loads of savouries.
So, I thank you, because I'm always interested in... I was thinking of having a regular section on this show about... with a jingle that goes... Grammar, we love you. Grammar, we do. Well, we talk about like complicated things from language and we've done pronunciation before,
Yeah.
but it's again not enough of it.
Well, you just said pronunciation, and you pronounced it correctly.
Yeah.
Because we actually had an email about this.
Oh well, let's come back
Yeah,
to that
we will.
because I have to do the flip side of discussing grammar is playing adverts. That's the rough and the smooth on this show. It's like the major auditorium making enough money for that little experimental studio theatre back the back of the building.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Oh. The producer was just whistling during that song. That's a bit weird, isn't it? Like a builder.
You know what they say? A whistling woman and a crowing hen is neither good to beast nor man.
Oh.
Yeah, I like to hear women whistle, personally. Okay, so I think we'll put the grammar shout out a bit later in the show, otherwise it might get a bit heavy. I don't want it to go all QI. Otherwise I'll start hating myself.
I won't even begin to tell you how I'll feel. 178 actually has texted us Amanda, who's a dental nurse.
Amanda.
She's a medical boffin.
Oh, yes.
She says, it's true, I'm a dental nurse. I spend a lot of time trying to explain it to patients. When she says it's true, she's referring to the point Steve was making about sugar earlier.
Okay, she's not trying to explain the fact that she's a dental
No.
nurse. They're going, who are you? Get off me! I've always thought I'd change my name by deed poll to Floss if I was a dental nurse.
Oh,
But
lovely.
that's a different point. Okay,
So next time you're eating a packet of sweets, eat them all in one go, rather than grazing on them. It's much better for your teeth.
that's the kind of advice I want from the medical profession.
Exactly.
Often it's all there's no fun, but that sounds great. I'm loving Amanda's.
We'd had a tweet, someone that said, I would recommend at least 20 sugars in a cup of tea, regards the chairman of Tate and Lyle. That's the other side of the equation
To be
there.
fair, they put a lot of money back into the arts, Tate and Lyle.
Do they?
Yeah, well, Mr. Tate was the man who started the Tate Gallery.
Yes.
Yeah, he looked at me as if I'd said something terrible then.
Your relationship felt under a lot of strain in that last 20 seconds.
It was just your face was so inscrutable. I was trying to work out whether it was a link to a gag.
Well, I'm playing. I'm off to the theatre after. I'm playing Fu Manchu. So I'm just getting into character. Did you not wonder about the long drooping moustache and the flared sleeves?
I thought you looked a bit like Peter Ustinov.
I love a flared sleeve.
Oh, I love a flared sleeve.
Rarely do I go home in a flared sleeve coat without 2 or 3 CDs in there from Fop.
You've got to be careful when you're cooking with a flared sleeve, though, Frank. You go up like tinder if you're near the open hob.
I'll tell you what I do. I tend to keep balsamic in one sleeve and olive oil in the other, and I just do the birdie song, and you've got a lovely salad.
Yeah,
it's the perfect way to treat a homeless person begging for a burger, and if you've just got something up your sleeve,
that'd be lovely. The perfect way to treat a homeless person would be a lovely book
by Steve Hall.
Lovely cookbook.
I'd buy that. Never mind that. What about Miley?
Poor Miley.
What are we going to do about Miley, Frank? It was awful.
You know, I've said this before about Rihanna. They lose a bit of faith in their material.
She didn't have much material to lose faith in.
Then they think I'm going to have to... I mean, she was just basically in a bra and pants.
We should say, so it was Miley Cyrus, in case anyone didn't see this. Is it the VMAs producer?
Yes, the VMAs.
That's what proper shows go, Producer Daisy, they call it.
Well, it used for the MTV Awards, didn't it?
Yeah, and that's
what
VMA.
What does VMA stand for?
Video Music Awards.
Thank you, Stevepedia. So,
not such nonsense.
Miley, daughter of Billy Ray, I love Billy Ray. She got up on stage with Robin Thicke and she twerked, but the bikini/underwear.
It wasn't a bikini, was it?
I tell you what, it was made of. That bedwetter sheet fabric.
It was. It was exactly that.
What a strange choice.
If I'd have known you could have got pants made out of that, the 80s would have been a much happier time for me.
That girl on Big Brother.
Yes, exactly.
Anthony Adams.
Well, it was like she'd turned up to the thing and had left her kit at home, and her old PE teacher had said, right, you've got to do it in your grundies.
Yeah, exactly. In your grundies.
In your edges.
How marvellous.
I didn't like it.
No.
I didn't like the foam finger. That made me feel ill.
But that's a complete...
That's an idea.
The man who invented the foam finger, did you see that interview? Said he felt that the foam finger had been misrepresented by that
which makes me think that he's never been out in public if that's the first time he's seen his product abused in that way.
No, but he's right. I mean, it was. I always associate the foam finger with gladiators.
So do I, Frank.
Which was largely a celebration of keep fit.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it involved with twerk.
If she'd have just shouted a wooga, she could have made it all better.
And she's such a lovely looking woman. I don't know if it's my old age. There was a time I'd have been only too happy to see a woman like that in bedwet in underwear. But now I just think, somebody put a coat round her.
So do I. What about the foam finger man said she degraded the foam finger?
I think she's right, and the foam finger is highly respected in society. No, she went too far. I thought to myself, you cannot be Cyrus.
Oh, lovely.
We've had a text from 437 Frank who says, Miley is Billy Ray's daughter. Idiotic eureka moment. Thanks, Frank. I feel such a moron.
Well, yeah, I thought everyone knew that. In case you don't know from our past, idiotic eureka moments is when you're very, very slow to get something. But yeah, he's the daddy.
Guess what Billy Ray said? Billy Ray.
What did he say?
He commented. Obviously, he supported Miley. He said, if twerking had been invented and I'd have had a foam finger, I would have done the same thing you done.
It wouldn't have worked with achy breaky heart, would it? I don't like the crotch grabbing.
I hate that.
So it's a bit much.
No, the only time I ever do crotch grabbing is if I'm...
What?
You know, if
never, I hope.
If I'm using a hairdryer on a hot day, just to cool off, I will...
But that combined with the twerking...
on a young woman, it looks very common.
Combined with the twerking, it looks like she's mocking a grandma awaiting a hip replacement.
I hadn't thought of that.
Do you think the twerking as a dance move is sexy, Frank? Do you find it sexy? Can't believe I've used that word in a...
Yeah. I don't really find anything sexy anymore.
Really?
I think I am I had something I want to talk to you a bit later about. Is I had a bit of a dilemma the other day. I saw something a bit rude, and whether to do anything about it or not. I mean, I can talk about it on the radio, but it was anxious making for me. I just wish... I think that Miley would look nice in a nice pair of jeans, smart jeans.
Agreed.
And one of those, thick knit cardigans. Maybe next time.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Steve Hoare. Why don't you text us on 8 12 15? You're interesting. Or you can follow us on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email us through the Absolute website. We've got a page.
Now, Frank, you tantalised us before the news with...
Yeah, no, this is it's tricky.
Yeah,
it's really tricky. We were talking about twerking
Yeah.
before the break, in case you're the sort of person that thinks, I will not listen to radio before 9 o'clock. Or if you listen on the digital, 10 o'clock. That's one for the editor downstairs.
Yeah.
And... we were talking about twerking and all that entails, all the
Miley,
all the
etc.
sauciness, yeah, and also the air of desperation. If I tell you what it reminded me a bit of, when me and Greg Davis snogged on Let's Dance for Comic Relief. When you're so desperate, you think, let's just do something physical.
Yeah.
And people will laugh.
I've done that
out
on
of
telly
embarrassment.
with Greg as well. It's a regular thing.
Yeah, it's just, you just have to
He
do
gets
it.
about.
But anyway, I was walking down the high street when I was walking... I won't say which road in case the woman identifies herself. I was walking down the road and there's people going to work hither and thither. It was that time of the morning. It's central London.
Yeah.
And as a woman steps out and walking ahead of me, and her... I should say to start off with, she was like a sort of respectable woman who might be management in the office. She looked very...
I know the type
sensible.
well.
Yeah, very sensible.
File of facts.
Maybe, hopefully, maybe even a scion organiser. But she looked very, someone who'd done well in the world. Her skirt was virtually completely see-through.
Right.
And to the point
Maxi
where...
or mini?
Well, it was sort of midi. It was at the knee, but it just see-through. And I could see the label on her thong.
Oh,
Crikey.
God.
And I could see a few workmen nudging each other and that sort of thing as she went past. Because it was, I think when she looked in the mirror at the front of the dress, it sort of folded at the front. She wouldn't have known.
So she was unaware that she was...
So she was unaware that she was completely...
Exposed.
And I thought...
She was exposed.
parading all manner of grot.
Do you remember when I saw that woman at the airport trying to close a suitcase, and I didn't go over because I thought she was too attractive to help?
I do.
That she'd misinterpret.
I
my
do
intent.
remember your version of events.
Well, this was a case of, I just thought, can I honestly go to this woman and say, look, excuse me, this is none of my business, but do you know that skirt's like completely see-through at the back?
Please tell me you didn't do that.
No,
Please
but I didn't
tell
do it.
me.
But don't you think that if I'd have been a better man, I would have done it? I would have put my embarrassment to one side.
It can't come from a man, that kind of information. It has to come from a lady.
Does it?
But guess what? We're not going to intervene. Because we quite like it.
And also, it wouldn't have just been... I mean, you were in that position where it would have to be... It wouldn't just be a man came up to me in the street and told me... It would be Frank Skinner approached me in the street the other day.
You can't do it, Frank.
Fresh from the Samuel Beckett Festival.
Well, my doubt was that she might have thought, no, I think I'll get the old bum out today at work. And it might have been deliberate. That'll show that
I was going to say...
Maybe she'd seen Miley on the VMAs and thought, finally, this is the one time I can wear this skirt without embarrassment.
I have to say, if I'd have had a foam finger with me, I'd have just tucked that label in a bit. Everything would have been fine. No, but I feel I should, because...
But then don't discriminate because she's a civilian. If she was a celebrity, Lady Gaga, you wouldn't feel the need to go up and say that.
No, but we lied. You'd know that was deliberate. And also, she's got her people before she goes out. She says, does my bum look big in this? And they say, no, Gaga, you look absolutely beautiful. That's fantastic. I doubt if this woman had such cronies at her fingertips. Well, I just hope she didn't have, sniggering at work and all that sort of thing. going on. Maybe I should have
so
told.
hope she did.
I should have. I should have stopped a woman and said, "Can you tell that woman that she's got a see-through skirt on?"
Yeah, good luck with that.
It'd be great then if she went there, but it isn't see-through, and it just turned out you had some magical ability for one day only.
I developed X-ray vision. Oh no! And can you tell her she's got a cyst on her left ovary?
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
We've had a text from 449 who says, Miley, what about the tongue? What do you think she was trying to achieve with that? I don't know if you saw when she was doing the twerking.
Well, I've only seen stills. I haven't actually seen.
Have you not watched it?
Yeah, it didn't seem
live?
It didn't seem proper for a man of my age to even watch it.
It's a thing she does quite a lot.
You've only seen the GIF.
It's
yeah, I have.
It's one of her trademarks. She sticks her tongue out, and she'll often do a sort of peace sign as well. So she did it several times. She sticks the tongue out at a sort of jaunty angle, and I think it's meant to look either cute or sexy. And it's the face that a baby pulls when you feed it a grapefruit for the first time. That's the face.
I've fed a baby a grapefruit. Is that you don't even have a baby? Whose baby did you feed it to?
I just go up and down train stations. But it looks like, with the tongue sticking out and the peace on it, looks like she was raised by a pack of wild emoticons. It sort of doesn't.
Or indeed Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah. I love Billy Ray.
I loved Achy Breaky Heart. That was one of his.
What about the hair? Best hair ever.
I don't remember his hair.
Robin. Can I tell you what his hair, Frank? It was business at the front, party at the back.
Oh, was it? Of course it was. I remember it now. Yeah, it was a proper moulay.
His son actually looks. He's got a son who's a bit of a metaler called Trace Cyrus.
Oh, he'd be nice for me.
A bit of a letdown. I thought he'd have gone for the two names.
Yeah, I was disappointed that he didn't. But Trace Cyrus, if you look at pictures of him, he looks like Christian O'Connell. It looks the spitting image of Christian O'Connell. But if the OC had dressed up as Marilyn Manson, to the point. I looked at him. I thought, is this like the Absolute Radio Christmas party?
Oh, let's have to check him out. Trace. I went to school with a girl called Trace. Won't be her. I saw Robin Thicke, who she was dancing with.
What do you make of this character, Frank?
I've got to be straight with you now, and this is a very old man thing to say. I'd never heard of him before.
Okay.
Who is Robin Thicke?
Well, he had one big song, Blurred Lines.
Right.
Which is one of the more hateful songs to have ever been released.
Okay. Hateful
it's deeply misogynistic. It's an uncomfortably women-hating song.
Did you see with Ludovic Kennedy?
Did you see with Ludo?
Did you see the thing about him and the student in the paper this week?
But Robin Thicke.
Robin Thicke.
I love that you've got all the Robin Thicke gossip.
Well, now, of course, I've thought, who is Robin Thicke? And I've gone and
You've got Thicke alerts on your phone.
Yes, I have. And I looked at Robin Thicke, and there's a fantastic, I have to say, it's a fantastic picture. It's a picture, I've got many, many pictures with me, sort of with grinning, smiling people. You know, people say, can I have your photo took with you? And you have your photo took with them.
Yeah.
And it's one of those. It's him with this young female student. But they're standing in front of a mirror.
Oh, yeah.
And in the mirror, you can see that his hand is quite clearly in an untoward place. Which they then tweeted, apparently. The person who took it tweeted it to his wife.
Wow.
Old Ma Thicke, as I think she's named. And I should imagine there's been ructions. Did you not see this? It was the most well, I won't say red-handed.
I'm going to have a look at this.
Yeah.
But, no, it was... That's Twitter for you. All the old ways are dying out.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Now, while that fine song was playing, Frank, I've looked up the photo of Robin Thicke that you were referring to.
It'll serve you right if they're playing this on Absolute 80s, and that was Whitney Houston doing I Will Always Love You.
It's whatever that song was you were just playing.
Yes.
It's an astonishing. That's one of the more remarkable photos I've ever seen.
What, the Robin Thicke? You hadn't seen this?
I've not seen this.
I couldn't believe it.
He is well and truly busted.
I can't believe that I'm getting all my Thicke updates from Frank now.
That's how it is with me, the thick of it. That's the name of my new
That's your new blog.
organisation.
I actually wonder
organisation devoted entirely to Robin Thicke, called the thick of it.
I like the way Robin Thicke, because like his surname seems to fit the... You know, it's like Billy Fury. And
well, because Miley Cyrus is quite skinny, did anyone go with thick and thin in the coverage of their little dance?
Not that I know of. I wouldn't say she was skinny, I'd say she was gamine.
That photo is... it's repulsive,
amazing.
actually.
I think that the girl he's groping might be the one who you nearly told was wearing a see-through dress.
Well, in case you don't know, that Robin Thicke is... he's having a photo and he's taken the opportunity. He's an opportunist. He's grabbed this young woman's bottom.
It's an open goal.
And there's an enormous mirror behind them, and the whole thing is exposed. His wife must have been absolutely furious.
It's so outrageous. It's like she should be saying "Gottle of Gear."
Yes.
May I ask a question? Frank, if you were caught in that scenario, not that you would be now,
yes,
because you're in a lovely long-term relationship, but at a point in the past, had you been caught with your hand in the cookie jar,
yes,
how would you have explained away that?
I'd have said that it was one of those timer cameras and that the shutter operator was fitted to an internal harness that she was wearing. I think that would have been reasonable.
Oh, dear.
It's a remarkable...
No, he's got there's no...
There's no excuse, It's,
he's just rude.
It's odd that, having seen that photo...
He's been identified as rude.
His dancing with Miley is now less offensive.
Oh, he's dancing with Miley now. It looks like... when you get old people on Strictly.
It's like he could say to his wife, she was only twerking it.
Excuse me, can I speak up in defence of... And you can put this in your Thick of It blog.
Okay.
And smoke it. I'd like to speak up in defence of Robin Thicke.
Okay.
The guy's about 36, 44, but anyway, about 36, suddenly he's got famous. How cruel is that?
I know.
He's got the wife, he's got the children.
I know how it happens.
And he can't fill his boots.
Yes.
Let the guy have a grope.
Look, I know what you're saying.
Is it going to kill you?
Yes. And I would say that let he who is without sin cast the first stone.
Yeah.
What about that?
Let he who is without sin don't knock on my door.
Yes.
Frank, we've had a text from John. No, actually, it's from Chesney. He says...
It's a very fine line. They're often confused.
Hitler used to have sugar in his wine.
Yeah.
Oh, sugar in his wine.
Going back to the sugar debate.
You know, the more I hear about this Hitler bloke, he sounds like a right old weirdo.
Yeah. I've always thought that Hitler was a teetotaler.
Did you?
Now it turns out he's a bit of... He likes a glass of wine with a meal.
Yeah, but Frank, in the bunker, a lot of time on his hands in the bunker.
Oh,
that's why the combination of the sugar and the alcohol...
Suite. Sorry, Steve.
The combination of the sugar and the alcohol, that explains a lot. It's kind of, was I wasted last night? Did I invade the Sudetenland?
Well, I seem to remember that we used to put sugar in sort of beer and stuff, and it used to explode into massive frothiness.
Oh, did it?
Oh, God, we made our own entertainment in them days.
We've just had an email, Frank, from Sarah, who says, a small correction for Frank. Oh. Twice now he has said for our readers. It's very hard to read the radio as opposed to listening to it. ! Ha ha.
Oh. Well, that's a fair point, Sarah, but... can I put this? I always call our listeners our readers because they're sort of more erudite, brighter, sharper and funnier than your average radio listener. But you're right to pick me up on it, sort of in the abstract, but in the specific, that's just it's a
our little in-joke.
But I just love the fact that you've joined in, Sarah.
I do.
I don't think that I think any less of you for it.
We've also had an email.
I regard you. Can I say that was one of my readers?
Yeah, there can be no higher praise.
We've had an email from Ian, who
but
says...
that student regards Robin Thicke as one of her readers. Braille.
Ian has emailed, hi Frank and team, thank you for drawing my attention to Miley Cyrus and her twerking. I was completely unaware of both of these phenomena, so I checked it out on YouTube. I was hoping you had some tips on unlearning something, because I could have happily gone through my life not knowing this. That's from Ian, aged 39 3/4.
I don't know if Ian's completely embraced my moral horror at this. He seems to be that he's warm to it. Like him. As I say, she's a very beautiful one, and I do like her shoes.
Yes, well, they're a bit of a brothel creeper, and you like that.
I think they're a bit amateur cricket umpire shoes.
Yes.
They are, which you don't often see in
the
Hollywood.
inventor of the amateur cricket umpire shoe has said he feels she's degraded it as a
And
product.
I like it. This is what I've become now. I really like her haircut.
Yeah.
I love a shaved side on a woman's hair. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the little... what would you call that?
It's called a buzz cut, darling.
A buzz
Yeah,
cut.
it's so that they look like they've just come back from the Somme.
If your son had a buzz cut, would that be if he went full Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver?
That would be a buzz cut and a half.
Buzz cut squared.
Yeah.
Can we stop talking about this? He's got a lot of updates to do on the Thicke of It website.
Yeah.
He has to do that whilst he does the show.
I don't know. I'm going to see if I can become a bit of an expert on Robin Thicke without hearing any of his music.
If you've not seen the video to Blurred Lines, is one of the more depressing things.
Well, you put me off it now. He sounds like some sort of, if I may use the word, filthy creep.
962, sugar in German wine. It must be so sweet it would be like Wonka's Chocolate River.
Wonka's Chocolate River. You know, I've never seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Family.
Have you not?
Oh, don't bother, it's
Chocolate
rubbish.
Family. God, that was some terrible Freudian slip. I'm going to hand myself into the police immediately.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We've had a text from 962, Frank, who says, "Hi, Scooby and the gang. Has Frank ever been in a film?"
Well, I've been in a short film and a long film. I was in a short film called Sugar with Philip Schofield, Stephen Fry, and some other people.
Oh, I like that cocktail.
And then I was in a long film, like a proper feature film, with it was directed by Ben Miller, and my dentist was involved in the writing of
Lovely.
it.
I've been in SOS Titanic
Really?
with Helen Mirren.
Oh.
Memoirs of a Survivor with Julie Christie.
Smashing. I kissed her once on, you know, your New Year's Eve kiss when it goes midnight, everyone goes round.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I kissed Julie Christie and shook hands with Alan Bates, who of course played Gabriel Oak to her Bathsheba Everdeen in Far From the Madding Crowd.
Yeah. But regular Absolute listeners will know that anyway.
Do you think there's anyone listening now?
So you were in a short film called Sugar.
I was.
There's a fella in Enniskillen who watches that 6 times every morning.
Have you been in a film, Steve?
I've appeared on some dodgy bits of CCTV in Bournemouth High Street, but they were wild times.
You know what it's time for now? All my other work, you can look at IMDb.
I think I haven't done this for a while.
Go on, Frank.
Email corner. I went off it for a while, but now I've kind of got back into it.
I sensed you went off there.
Yeah,
It's got a nice... That felt stronger.
yeah, it did. The whole thing. I just thought, I'm getting a bit bored of this, and then I didn't. You know, I had a couple of weeks off.
Yeah.
That's all you need
If you
in
don't-
life.
like
you
a
missed the
relationship.
sitar.
It's like Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas. Have a little bit of time off and see if the light's still flickering.
Oh, do you think they'll get back together?
No. But, you know, I'm just giving... That was a fair example.
I was going to use that window.
When I say
That's
a
all I'm
fair
saying.
example.
Imagine I went out with Michael Douglas. Imagine he was waiting for me outside.
Imagine
here.
if I went out with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Well, let's deal in more likely scenarios.
Yeah.
He's gettable. He went
don't-
out with Martin McCutcheon. He's gettable.
Did he go
Yeah.
out with Martin McCutcheon?
Yeah,
Michael?
Douglas. Yeah. Anyway,
Really?
He did what?
this email.
He'll do anything for a cop price probiotic. Oh, okay. I didn't know you went out with Martin
They
McCutcheon.
dated briefly.
What can see why I know? Very pinchable cheeks. He's got. You know when you.
All right, Robin Thicke.
No, I mean on her face. You know when you affectionately pinch someone's cheek, she's got lovely little
Yeah.
round. When she smiles, lovely little round cheeks there.
And I believe she went out with Simply Red gentleman.
Did she went out? She went out with him as well.
What's
Mick
his name?
Hucknell and Michael Douglas.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, they are notches.
Yeah, they are.
Nothing in common though. Although
And they love
the cash.
nachos. Ed Sheeran is essentially
What do you
the
make
bloke
of that
from,
character?
he's the bloke from Simply Red, isn't he?
he?
Basically, they look very, very simple.
I just got red hair.
No, there's more to it than that.
What is there
I'm
then?
a big fan of red hair in all its manifestations, but now they've got that sort of. Look, they're dried out. Their faces have been dried out so that they could be stored for a long period, say on a long voyage. some kind. They got that
Bombay
kind.
Duck.
Yeah, I'm going to have to play some music here. We're in email corner, but we haven't actually read out any emails. I'm just having a walk about. Sometimes you're just like a bit of a Potter at home. I felt a Grayson Perry joke coming on, but I didn't do it.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
We were going to go into email corner.
We're there. We're already there.
Oh, okay. All right, we got a bit led astray by Michael Douglas.
Can't you smell the fine spices? Yeah, Michael Douglas.
Thought that was Bob.
How's he going to get on? Single?
Probably very well, I
He's
imagine.
not a man who's
Well, he's not going to be single because we've already established he's going to be quite all right.
Because
I'm going to date him.
I can't see him doing his own cooking, though. Can you, washing up?
Who, Michael Douglas?
Yeah.
We'll get a dishwasher. We'll get a housekeeper. He's going to be turned up at Absolute Radio.
He's well again now.
Either him or it's going to be Rupert Murdoch is the one I'm going to date.
He's fully recovered.
See, I think that's
fresh off behind the candelabra.
I think he's... he was very poorly and he's got better, and now it's all about new beginnings, and I'm afraid CZJ is one of the old ends that needed tying up. Okay. I bet he'll be after Miley.
Well, he needs to find if he's gone kind of people who are in British soap operas and so on. Who's be after Cat Slater or someone like that?
That's true, actually. If he's got Martin McCutcheon and
well, that's what I'm saying. It's not out
Helen
of the
Flanagan.
Yeah, no, she seems troubled, doesn't she?
No, she'll be all right with that. I think he'd be a steady in hand.
Okay. Okay, this is from Michael Robbins.
Michael Robbins, who played Arthur in On the Buses?
No, but very good reference.
Okay.
He says, "Hi, Frank and gang."
Do me a favour, Olive.
Oh, 70s impressionist show there. You've got your Prince Charles and Margaret Thatcher as well. "Hi, Frank and gang. I manage an army surplus store in Wolverhampton. Called."
I'm surprised with the lack of funding to the forces. So there's such a thing now as an army surplus. I thought there might be an army deficit store.
Yeah.
Where
a nice peacoat there.
People take their 90s camouflage vests and pants, take them in, so they can be
Manic Street Preachers fans.
Exactly.
They're hand-me-down.
Redistributed to the boys.
This particular army surplus store is called Commandos.
I know what he doesn't sell.
The other day I had a guy come in, and after about a minute he shouts over to me, he's going present tense,
yeah.
"Where do you keep the taser guns?" Which isn't an unusual question in our type of shop.
No.
I promptly told him, "We don't stock them, mate, they're illegal," which was greeted by a very surprised, "Really?" I then added to his already confused state by telling him that only a couple of weeks ago somebody was shot dead by one.
What?
Which was greeted by a louder and now higher pitched, "Really?" I concluded by telling him that they weren't for civilian use and were for police issue only. It was the expression of total disbelief that made me think we were possibly talking about different things. Unfortunately, I'd misheard him. He'd actually asked about the tater guns, spud guns, which we do in red and blue, all in stock at the moment.
Oh, lovely to know that. If you're in Wolverhampton, you're after a tater gun. I haven't thought about tater guns for years.
I don't know what they are.
What you do is you stick them in the potato, and when you pull it out, you've got a bit of like broken off potato in the spout. Then you can fire it through a jet of air.
Why would you do that?
Because you're just anti because it involves carbohydrate. But it's actually quite a good. It's
very
a good
popular
laugh.
movie series, Starchy Harry. In the 70s.
Oh,
lovely. Excellent work. No, they're great. I might get one.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Who am I again? Yeah, this is Frank Skinner. I did actually had a moment then where I couldn't remember my own name. This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Steve Hall. You can tweet us on @FrankOnTheRadio or email us through the Absolute website. I know I say this every hour, but that's because I have to say it every hour.
Yeah.
And, hey presto, people have been emailing as well.
Oh, good use of Hey Presto.
It
Like the editor of The Dandy.
I think this social media thing is here to stay.
Well, we'll see.
We've had an email from...
I doubt if Robin Thicke is saying that this morning.
I think you should ring him.
Bob Thicke, I call him.
Bob Thicke. What about Paul Mulligan has just texted us, Frank? He says Martine McCutcheon also dated Jack Nicholson. She must like the older man.
Great though. What a
roll call.
To get a couple of glasses of rosé down Martine and talk about the old days. I bet she's got some stories, isn't she? Michael Douglas, Jack Nicholson.
Lovely.
Who else?
Don't forget old Hucknell in that triumvirate.
Oh yeah, she did Hucknell as well. Yeah.
She certainly is holding back the years.
So definitely a bet.
Well, maybe she can go for Ed Sheeran and collect the ginger set.
Oh, I know gingerism on this show. Can I say that?
I'm very part. That's no gingerism. I'm married to a ginger.
Oh. Well, then let's not go over the top. Methinks he does protest too much. Okay, what about... We're still in email.
We are in email.
We are.
We've had an email from Emma, who says, Dear Frank, Emily and bit awkward Alan, apologies for being a bit behind. I've just listened to the podcast of the show where you discuss mispronunciation of words. My partner David has some strange ways of saying things, frustrating yet amusing me at the same time. Firstly, his pronunciation of hay fever. Everyone else I've ever met, it says hay fever. David, however, has gone his own way and pronounced it hay fever, putting all the emphasis on fee in fever.
Hay fever.
Oh.
She then goes on to make a nice move on
Peggy
the
Lee
cockerel.
character.
Hay fever. It's got a bit of...
Yeah.
There's an element of hay fever Espana. I might sound that I've got this strange brand. It's hay fever Espana. Might try that as a sort of one of my dad jokes. Okay, carry on with Emma. Has she done?
Well, she makes a nice move on you. She says...
What, she did? What?
She says a dame's move. She lives in Trentham, home of the Trentham Monkey Forest.
Oh.
Ooh. She knows the way to my heart.
Yeah.
And he made, apparently on an old podcast, a fellow reader emailed to say there was a monkey there who looked very much like you.
To be fair, I had bright red buttocks at the time.
Yeah.
I'd just been on...
You just met Robin Thicke.
Oh no, I'd been to an S&M summer school. They've cooled somewhat since. But no, I've been to a monkey world in Wool in Dorset.
I hated it when you went to that summer school. It was awful.
I know, it was... It seemed like a good idea, but it did smart.
You were like a ghost of a man when you came back from that.
No pain, no gain. That's what my T-shirt said. Now, so where is this monkey habitation?
Wow.
Is it somewhere in Devon? I don't think.
Emma says, if he ever fancies a visit to find said monkey, then let me know.
That could take some tracking down. I believe they're sort of virtually in the wild, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're not manacled in individual booths.
That would be a hell of a moment as the two of you, as your eyes locked.
Well, I have had this moment at Monkey World with a monkey came to the... It was one of the ones that had just got back from being the slave of a Spanish entertainer.
Oh, yeah.
Still, you could see the cigarette burns on its arms. They treat it quite awfully.
Yeah.
And whether it had hay fever or Spania, I don't know, but it was crying.
Yeah.
But it came to the glass and it looked at me and I looked at him for ages. Till people were saying, look at that monkey with that man. And I did feel that maybe we'd bonded on some sort of primeval level.
Maybe you had some see-through trousers on and the monkey was trying to find a way to politely
I did have see-through trousers on that day. They seem to be all right in Dorset. In a way, they're in central London. They seem a bit pushy.
Frank Skinner
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We're still in email corner. Can you believe it?
We are. And we've had...
We abideth.
We've had another missive in about pronunciation.
Okay.
It's not just Emma from... Is it Trentham? This email is from Stuart. He says, Dearest all, over the last several weeks I've noticed a lot of discussion on the show about pronunciation. This pedant has a simple message for all the other pedants out there. Pronounce pronunciation right. It's pronunciation. Get it right. That is all, Stuart. P.S. Love you all.
What's the alternative then? What else do
pronunciation.
People say pronunciation.
People say pronunciation, do they? I haven't picked up on that. Thanks for spotting that, Stuart.
Yeah.
You're right, it's unacceptable.
So that's quite a strong denunciation he's put in there.
So this is another grammar, we love you. That's all under the same.
I was looking at his sentence, pronunciation right, and I don't know whether that should be pronounced pronunciation correctly.
You've just said it wrong. You've said it wrong.
I'm saying it deliberately wrong to annoy him.
No, you're not.
No, you're not, Steve.
I like to call it's the feast of the Annunciation. For the Catholics.
What about jejune?
What about
if I may say.
Oh, yeah.
June is not that time that Gareth Gates stood in for Terry Scott and Terry and June. You know,
I like the word Jejune.
Jejune, yeah, but meaning,
sort of innocent, youthful.
Yeah, sort of immature.
Naive.
Some sort of naive from the halfway line. But a lot of people say Jejune. As if it's a French. Or he's very jejune.
I've never known how... That's a word I've never known how to pronounce.
It's jejune. It's from the Latin.
Oh, I love that you
Absolute Radio here.
Because of my Semitic...
Grammatical.
If I hear someone say that word with my Semitic heritage, I get a bit jumpy.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You play that up quite a lot, though, Steve.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, when it suits you. Play it up. Otherwise...
I'm an armchair Semitic.
Okay. Other one is... disinterested and uninterested.
Oh, I can't abide it when people get that wrong.
Come on, get it right.
Yeah.
We've had a text from 280 who said that he once dumped a girl because instead of saying mandatory, she said mandatory.
And, is that the American version?
I think that's the way the Americans would say it, yeah.
What about if she was an American girl?
Sorry, 630 has also just texted. See-through trousers.
Oh, yes.
I love a text that begins that way.
Well, who doesn't?
This is from a gentleman. I have a pair of trousers my wife discovered were see-through when I wore contrasting coloured undercrackers. However, I recently discovered a cost-effective solution to this problem. Simply purchase a pair of ladies' nude tights, cut off the leg sections. Hey presto, you have a pair of invisible pants. That's from Douglas.
Yes, and can you imagine how carefully you cross the road in that outfit? You don't want to be... When the nurse is saying, right, we'll just get these... Oh... Really don't want to be there for that.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
Now, we've had a text, Frank, from 100 who has corrected me.
100?
They said Trentham is not pronounced Trentham, it's pronounced Trentham, silent H. And it's actually in Stoke-on-Trent, not Devon, as I incorrectly guessed.
Not much in it.
So, and that's the thing, because I'm mortified. When I make a mistake like that on air, I like to hold my hands up, but I am, to use Emily's phrase, mortificado.
Yeah, there's no point in holding your hands up on air, you do know that.
Yeah.
I've been wondering why it's not been having the effect.
That's why it's not been acknowledged.
And I've been thinking about, because there are things that drive me insane, little things where I react disproportionately, and I've had one such incident this week, where I was bidding on an online auction site.
Lovely.
For a pair of shoes. Now, I have to be because I know when the Cockerel first joined this station, I was bidding for used shoes.
Kicking in, isn't it? Who's a celebrity shoe?
No,
it wasn't Gandhi's sandals. Gandhi's sandals were for sale.
His Gandals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They weren't. It's a limited edition trainer. That
I don't care.
That has long since disappeared. Because I have to be tricky because I know when the Cockerel first joined this show, he was fishing quite a lot for on air for shoes.
Yeah, we had to slap that down.
Yeah, so I don't want to. They were on sale 7 years ago, and I missed them first time around.
But does that mean someone has worn them?
Yes, someone has worn them. Yes.
Well,
this is that, but that's not. So the very act of bidding on it was pathetic, and then I lost. I bid 60 quid.
But what about trench foot? Does that not work?
Excuse me. What about athlete's foot? What about verrucas?
Yeah.
I don't mind them. I cope with them very well.
Okay.
So I lost the auction. I bid £60 plus potential £6 quid postage and packing.
What did they go for? They
went for about 70.
If you wanted them that much,
I know. Well, that's exactly it.
Mile.
I have been torturing myself with that exact thought. I sulked for 3 days about missing out on these pair of Adidas Gerd Müllers. Let's full disclosure.
Oh, they're even named after a German footballing hero.
Yeah.
Yes, who looks incredibly like Ron Jeremy in the 70s as well. I hadn't seen pictures of him. But thankfully, there aren't any pictures of him on the shoe.
I'm happy to say that on Absolute, we don't know who Ron Jeremy is. Carry on.
But I was shocked at how upset. So 3 days later, I'm still sulking, and my wife had to have a word with me and say, "You are aware you're sulking about a pair of shoes that someone else had worn and didn't want."
And you said, "Who asked you, Ginger?" It's still in a terrible mood.
Have you bugged off, lad? So I was intrigued.
I think of you as a very mild-mannered
that's the thing. I am a mild-mannered janitor in every respect.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued. Is there anything...
No, everyone's got a side.
That's the thing. What's your trigger? That's what I'm interested in. Mine is pathetic. It's losing shoes on auction sites.
Yeah. I don't like people getting in my way.
Oh, I don't.
You know when you're walking down the street and you get those people who can't walk in a straight line. I don't mean because they've got a disability. They're not sure where they want to go, and they've just got enough movement for you not to be able to get around.
Tell you what I don't like. Mine is, okay, I'm impatient. That's my tragic Shakespearean flaw. So if I'm on the bus, let's say it does happen sometimes, Frank.
Yes.
And then someone comes in with one of those Oyster cards, and they take forever. And then the bus driver's kind and lets them off. You know, the compassionate bus driver says, oh, yeah, it's fine. I go, come on. Like Paxman, come on.
Yeah, I walk really, really close to people who are walking slowly. In that sort of,
as if you might just catch the back of their heel.
Yeah, just get out of my way. I don't mind them walking slow, but get out of my way.
Yeah.
I think that's fair enough.
Well, I'm intrigued if the readers have any small things they lose their minds over. I'm keen to hear. Well,
I've just done I'm doing a TV thing currently on Saturday nights, and it's a sort of game show. So it's my team versus Mickey Flanagan's team. And at one point, the commissioning editor for the show had to come in my dressing room and say, Frank, come on, calm down, it's just a game. I completely lost it. Gabby Logan said she was amazed at how competitive I was. And her dad
should have called me.
He was a midfielder for Leeds United.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Oh, overwhelming smell of toast in Absolute Radio this morning.
Well, that's that time of the day, isn't it?
Okay.
We've had a text from Gabby. It says,
not Logan.
No. It says, her trigger is people who get on busy trains with massive rucksacks, or the ones who have double buggies and force their way onto crowded carriages in rush hour.
I have to say, anyone who's got a double buggy, that means they've got twins.
Yes.
I think those people there should be little avenues formed of people applauding down either side wherever they go. Because that is just, I just think that's unbelievable. Anyone can actually do that, the raising of twins. I've talked about backpack awareness before on this show, that people just don't know it's there. It's like it being with a big tortoise turning round and
I do you say that about me and Michael Douglas. I'll tell you what I find, Frank, in a shop. Oh, they take so long. My time is money. I've told you before on this show, I'm cash rich, time poor. So I need to get out of there quickly. So I go to buy a simple top in a Spanish high street retailer, let's say. The man in the black shirt, he takes so long. I say, come on. I say, don't worry about the hanger. I don't want the hanger. There they are. There's the card. Hand the card over. Sometimes when he's taking the tag, I go, don't bother about the tag. Don't fold it. I have a lot of instructions.
Well, they're very cool, aren't they, those people?
Yeah.
And I think it's hard for them to move in a jerky fashion. No, I was once in Tommy Hilfiger. Is it Hilfiger or Hilfiger?
Figure.
Or is it Spongefinger? Tommy Spongefinger.
SpongeBob Hilfiger.
Is it Hilfiger?
Yeah, it is.
So I was in Tommy Hilfiger and I was looking at a sheepskin coat I quite liked, and I sort of...
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
Extraordinary moment in your life.
Malcolm Allison kind of tribute.
Yeah, I tugged it slightly and the alarm went off. And the three people that work in there were all three really well-dressed, really good-looking young black guys.
Oh, yeah.
The alarm went off. It took them about 7 or 8 minutes to get to me because they can't rush those sort of people.
No.
They're too cool.
No.
So they were trapped in their own coolness. And I think it's the same with those guys in post fashion shops.
You're right, Frank.
You know, it's sort of Madame must wait one moment, and then they choke in it.
Talking about small things that make people lose it.
Yeah.
BMXer
Punk has tweeted to say people who get butter in the jam and toast crumbs in the butter.
Oh, I do that. I must admit, I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh. Sam Miller.
Sorry, BMXer Punk.
Sam Miller dislikes people who step into the middle of the road to see if the bus is on its way, like the view from the bus stop is not enough.
I haven't seen anyone do that for ages, but I find it slightly admirable.
Yeah, I like it.
It's got a sort of Comanche scout.
Sometimes they walk up half of the road. They walk up the pavement, so they're ahead in the knowledge.
What about that terrible moment you get? I don't know if you get this in small villages, if you're listening in one, but in the cities, you get the bus stop like maybe 20 feet from the bus stop. You know, the bus actually stops, and you think, is he going to come right up, or is he going to wait there? If I just stand at the bus stop, will he go off? And you start to move forward, and they won't let you on. Oh. Oh,
Sandy, this is a mixture of things that make her lose it and pronunciation. She says that she hates it when people, instead of saying Penelope, they say Penelope.
no.
So I've never heard of that as a thing.
No. I think that's one person that Sandy knows.
Yeah.
I've never heard that, but I'm not.
What about this,
quibbling.
Frank? 589, Rob Murphy. Hi, Frank and gang. My pet hate is when you're stood in a queue and someone invades your personal space by standing very close behind you, as though they're somehow going to get to the head of the queue faster this way. The sensation of someone's breath on the back of your neck, or them sniffing or breathing at such close proximity, makes my blood boil.
Yeah,
He's going to go postal.
Yeah,
Takes me
I
back.
imagine he doesn't go through customs very often.
I like it when they don't, or I hate it when they don't move forward. You know, when there's the person in front of you and the rest of the
Oh,
queue moves
I hate
forward,
that.
they're looking around, they haven't noticed. You
enjoy
think
it,
someone
yeah.
else is going to come in if you don't move quickly.
That never happens because I adopt my Paxman. Come on!
And also, what about these mysterious attachments you get on emails? You get your attachment on an
Yeah.
email, then there's another attachment, you click on that, it's just like a tiny logo. What's that for? Who wants to look at a tiny logo on a special attachment?
Daisy producer sends those sometimes.
Does she? Yeah,
Yeah.
why? Why do you send those, Daisy? Come on! Oh, she won't
Hold
talk.
me closer,
So
tiny
you won't
logo.
talk, eh? Speaking of things that annoys people, what about Alec Baldwin, the American actor?
Yes,
Who smacked a pap?
he did. He properly lost it, didn't he?
I don't
I
know if
love
he was.
him.
Was he at the Palais de Pap?
He's one of my favourite psychotic human beings.
How many are there? Sort of top 10 have you
I
got?
don't know, I've dated a couple, but he's
Yeah.
lovely.
We should set the scene if people don't know the story. The paparazzi, they basically did the Jurassic Park Velociraptor technique, where one of them went in to annoy him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he lost it on that, and the other one got the shots, and Alec Baldwin went, clever girl.
And one thing I didn't know about Alec Baldwin is that his wife is called Hilaria.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
Kind of, his parents determined she's not going to be a stand-up comedian. She just could not go into comedy with a name like Hilaria.
No.
But it was, I really, I mean, I've got, I know that they're human beings, the Paps, but I do like to see a celebrity really punching
It
one.
was great. It was.
Oh.
He still looked good, even wearing shorts with very high pulled-up white
Oh,
socks.
no,
Yeah.
I'd take issue with you over the socks. I didn't think that worked.
You didn't think that way? I think Baldwin pulls it off. Most people couldn't, but I thought.
I think the fact that he was punching a Pap made it okay.
Made it okay.
Yeah, he punched a Pap, and I think if you take the death of Princess Diana, they still owe us.
Yes, absolutely.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
On the subject of people losing over small things, Ian Cassidy has tweeted to say that he once put his foot through a plasterboard wall, and the reason he did that was that he dropped a boiled egg. So
It's too much. Sorry. Simply too much. I wouldn't like to leave this week's show without our hero of the week being
Yes.
mentioned. This is the man who, he did one of those, what do they call them? High-cost phone line.
Premium rate.
Premium rate.
He got his
Pretending
own
he's never called.
premium rate.
What do they call them?
Phone line. I only call them because they say, "Come on, guys, why don't you call me?"
I believe what this says, I'm waiting for your call.
Yeah, come on, fellas. So he's got a premium rate phone line, and companies, when they call him up cold calling, they're paying like a lot. There's one thing I
70 a
don't.
minute.
he's a hero. He's an absolute
He
hero.
is a hero, but what I don't understand about this, he said he's made 300 quid so far. Why has he told anyone?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They'll
Surely
stop
the
calling
thing
him now.
is to keep quiet and just
Yeah.
rake it in. Not only are you making money, but you're making it from people who are bothering you. It's absolutely perfect.
Well, what's great is that he'll keep them talking. So when they phone up and say, "Can I interest you? Have you been missold some PPI insurance?" They'll be expecting to get sworn at, and well, he'll just be there going, "Keep going."
Yeah, he's
Really?
going to be saying, "That's interesting. Tell me more about
Can I
PPI."
introduce a voice of slightly surprising dissent, perhaps, here? He said his reason for doing this was because I need to spend more time watching Coronation Street and they interrupt me.
Well, did he say that?
Yeah. I would argue that human interaction, perhaps that's to be praised over sitting there killing time till death, watching soaps.
Well, to offer an even stranger dissenting voice, I once had a job cold calling. I was selling
You
tickets.
didn't.
I was selling tickets. This is just like, it was like for a week. I had to sell tickets for the for Stephen Sondheim's Sweeney Todd at the theatre in Stafford. And I had to phone up schools about block bookings and just phone staff rooms and hope for the best. And I must say, you get to about 3 o'clock and you can't make your hand pick the phone up. It's so terrible. I phoned one bloke. He was a teacher. I don't know if he was drunk or something.
I love the idea of you doing this.
But I phoned this bloke up and I said, hello, I wonder if you'd be interested in doing a block booking for the Stephen Sondheim's excellent, all the spiel. And this bloke said, what the hell do you want from me? And I thought, hold on, I'm not after ransom. What the hell do you want from me? I've just told you. And then I started to explain in a calm way, and he put the phone down.
Oh,
so it's a tough job. So I mean, it is funny that he's got a premium rate line, but cold calling. Think of the poor devils I have to do. Anyway. What the hell do you want from me? Could be something I put on a T-shirt. If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. And I'll tell you what, Steve, you won't be with us next week.
I won't. The cockerel returns.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for tolerating me.
Absolutely brilliant. You can come back any time. Now get out.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.